Okay, here is the fourth and last part of the Chatelier's principal lab, and we'll again deal with the equilibrium between these two complex cobalt ions. And in this case, what we're going to try to do is to determine whether the reaction as written from left to right is endothermic or exothermic. And we will determine this via analysis of some experimental data. So we're going to use our source of the COH2O6 2+ ion, and I've pre-measured out a certain amount of that already. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to make this solution a roughly 50-50 mixture of the pink-colored COH2O6 2+ ion and the blue-colored COCl4 2- ion. And so pink ion over here, blue ion over there. We're going to try to be in between those, which will be purple. So I now need to add some chloride ion from the concentrated hydrochloric acid. And I'm not going to really count drops. I just simply need to add enough to make the solution purple. So we're going to add until we get a fairly in-between purple color. And let's kind of stop and evaluate. So there's the pink, there's the blue. That's fairly in between purple. Maybe go a little bit farther. We'll go to, let's do a little bit more. Okay, so we'll judge this to be a good enough in-between purple color between the pink and the blue. And so now, to determine whether the reaction is exothermic or endothermic, we are going to stress the system using hot water bath and a cold water bath. It doesn't really matter which order we do them in. We have a hot water bath. It's at about 70 degrees Celsius. Temperature doesn't really matter too much. It just needs to be hot. And then we have a cold water bath that's at about 5 degrees Celsius. And again, doesn't matter what the temperature is so long as it's significantly colder than room temperature. So here is our purple solution. What I'm actually going to do is we'll have a couple of ways of comparing. So I'll pour half of it, well, maybe a little less, a little more than half of it, into a test tube. And so now we have a comparison. We have a purple that we started at, we have a pink, and we have a blue, and there's our purple. And so we'll put it in the hot water bath. And we'll have to be a little patient to wait for the transfer of heat and see if you can tell what's happening to the color. And we can compare this against the original pink of the COH2O6 solution, the purple of the solution we just made, and the blue of the COCl4 2- solution. And then, without changing this, now let's try a cold water bath. And again, what we're looking for is, does the solution get more pink or does it get more blue? And then ultimately, what does that tell us about the reaction in terms of, is it endothermic or exothermic? And have to be a little patient with the heat transfer, heat flowing out of the solution into the cold water bath. And I think we've probably gone far enough to where we can compare this solution to our original purple, and then the pink of the COH2O6 2+ solution, and the blue of the COCl4 2- solution. So it's not fully pink yet, but it's pretty close. It's definitely headed in that direction. And so that is it. And now from this analysis, you can, or from this data, you can determine whether the reaction as written, going from left to right, is endothermic or exothermic, and you need to explain how you were able to determine that. And that's it for the data. for the experimental part of the Le Chatelier's Principle Lab.